Yeah.
And how's everybody today? Good?
Good, thank you.
You guys are stuck with me today. Leadership team is in San Antonio, Texas. Doing leadership stuff, so well, that excites you guys, doesn't it? It does Steve. I know Steve wants to be in leadership, doesn't he? Yes, yes. All right, we're gonna get going. We've got a few people I see in the on Zoom, so I appreciate you guys making the time. It's summer, everybody's getting their kids dialed in. Yeah, who's got kids? Who's got kids in school? That's the how many kids you got in school? Just one? You planning on more? It's tough decision. It's tough decision. All right, I got you. This is the first time I've done a team meeting in a little bit, so this is the first time I've seen this slide, so apparently you guys have challenges with the ringers on your phones. So please go ahead and silence your ringers for us as we get started. What's our mission? How many of you are familiar with this? Raise your hand.
Never seen.
I've never seen it. Okay. I won't spend a lot of time on it, but our mission is to provide agents with a place where they will be empowered, trained, and motivated to experience growth, wealth, and a legacy that allows them to live their best life possible. How many of you are working towards that? See all the excitement in the room? Man, guys. This Saturday, 11 a.m., Hickory Park in Torrance is our annual picnic. How many of you have been to the annual picnic? Raise your hand. Okay, so some of you have experienced it, some of you have not experienced. It's really a lot of fun. We usually end up anywhere from 50 to 80 people. It's potluck. Please reach out to Natalie or Stephanie if you're planning on coming. If you want to sign up for something, it's always appreciated that you bring something to the picnic. It's just a good casual time, food, fun, agents. We don't talk real estate at all. Kidding. That's what we do for a living. We usually play flag football. We didn't necessarily do it last year because it was a little warmer than we thought it was going to be. And we're all getting a little older and can't run like we used to. But we are going to play cornhole. And if you want to play cornhole for money, I'm totally open to that too. So please reach out. How many of you are planning on coming? Just show of hands. How many of you raised your hands that aren't coming? You just wanted to raise your hands so nobody takes you all the time. Right? All right, good. Who wants to explain what wholesaling is in real estate? Who can explain wholesaling? Oh, come on. Eric?
When somebody sells the contract to a property or collects a difference.
So you're on the right path. So basically, in our world, wholesalers are unlicensed real estate agents for the most part, who go under contract with a property owner, typically off market. They agree with that particular property owner on a price, and in that contract are built-in assignment terms. Sometimes the seller understands it, sometimes they don't. And what that wholesaler is trying to do through their network of buyers is present a assignable contract to most likely another investor. So how does the wholesaler make money? If they're not licensed?
Called spread.
Called a spread or
The contract.
assignment fee, sometimes is what it's called. So if I tie up Brian's property for $500,000 and Jack wants to buy it for $560,000, what's my spread?
$60 grand.
$60,000. There are wholesalers out there that make more money than you guys do. You know that? So whose fault is that? That's your fault because they obviously found the seller before you did. Isn't that interesting how that works? right? So in your residential purchase agreement, can you assign contracts?
Yes.
In the residential purchase agreement, it is now common language that you can assign. Is that good or bad? It's bad if you don't understand it. But it can be good for a lot of different reasons, and I don't want to get into the contract side of it. What I want you to do is I want you to understand what wholesaling is. So if you're a listing agent, right, you guys are newer agents, you're so excited, you just got this new listing. The house maybe is even a fixer. Right? And an investor calls you up and says, hey, I want to write an offer on your $1 million listing for $1,025,000. That sounds exciting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So if you're not paying attention, who could that investor actually be? A wholesaler. So can wholesalers pretend to be whoever they want?
Yeah.
Why is that?
They don't have license.
They don't have a license. But it's a game. And I'm just telling you from experience, we see this time and time again. There are listing agents out there who go under contract with an investor who's really not an investor. So it's a good or bad thing. Most of the time it's not. Most of the time when we ask the listing agent if they know they went under contract with a wholesaler, they're like, what? And then they're not even appreciative of it. They're just mad and then they never even talk to us again, which is fun, right? So the reason I'm bringing that up is nationally, states like South Carolina, North Carolina, Illinois, Florida, California, Nevada now are starting to get a little tighter on their regulations around wholesaling. Is that good?
Yeah.
It can be good, right? But this is America, we're creative. As soon as you draw a line in the sand, guess what I'm trying to do? Figure out how to get that line moved again, right? So what, if you're not familiar with this new tactic, I just want to bring it up before we bring our guest up. It's called double closing. Does anyone know what a double closing is?
Yes.
Explain it for us, Carlos. What's a double closing?
So the wholesaler gets typically it's called a same day funding, right?
Okay,
They close to the property and then right after they sell it to the end buyer, the investor. So they basically two escrows, right?
so you're gonna have two transactions that close on the same day on the same property. How hard is that to do? It can be, right? If you definitely don't know what's happening. So why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing it up because you're the listing agent who has a property with an investor who wants to buy it. If the contract is assignable, it's probably a wholesaler. And is that who you want to go under contract with?
No.
Probably not. So the new tactic that's happening with wholesalers is they're gonna go under contract. It's not gonna be assignable, but they're still shopping the property to other people. And they're gonna want you to double close on that. So I want you to conceptualize this. You have a listing, you priced it correctly at $1 million. You went under contract with Brandon. It's not assignable, but the contract is for $1,020,000. You guys following me? So you're under contract. You're excited. You're happy. All of a sudden you get an email from Brian. And Brian's trying to sell your property that you're under contract with Brandon on for $1,060,000. Is that kind of weird?
It is.
Anyway, so what they're doing to get around the assignment of contract is a double close. So not every escrow company will do it, not every title company will do it, the creative ones will. But that's how they're circumventing tying up your property, even though they're still wholesaling it. They still have the contractual obligations, contingencies, right? Timelines, all of those things still have to happen. So how can you tell the difference? Well, one, if you're a listing agent, you gotta ask the question. Doesn't mean they're always gonna be truthful with you. But in order for this to happen, there are a few things that you should pay attention to. One, they're probably not gonna wanna close it in 21 days or less. It's probably gonna be more like 45 or 60 days. So that's just an example, right? But I just want to prepare you for where the direction of creative opportunities are going when it comes to real estate. Does anybody have any questions on any of this? Yes, sir.
What's the disadvantage to going under contract with a wholesaler? Because you could get a higher price elsewhere in the market?
You can argue that, but there's still a high percentage, over 80%, of contracts that wholesalers go under that they never find a buyer for. Or the math still doesn't make sense. It's just they're trying to play the game and play the odds. And so it could be good or bad. Let's ask it a different way. You're 90 days on market and you've never had an offer. Is it okay to go under contract with a wholesaler? Maybe, I don't
If the
know.
numbers make sense.
It's usually about the numbers, right?
So
So
if they can tie you up at
Sure.
whatever number and they're not gonna find a buyer.
if you need help selling a property, you need help selling a property, right? At the end of the day, it's up to the seller to decide whether it's important or not. I'm trying to help you guys avoid being blindsided by going under contract with someone who has really no intention to buy the property from. Their only intention is to shop that property for someone else. So, is that cool?
Thank you.
Steve, have you dealt with this yet?
I haven't, but
Okay.
you know, if I'm a listing agent and if my seller is happy with the price that this wholesaler wants to give,
Yep.
you know, and there's. You know, he
Someone
wants
else
to
can
take,
perform?
absolutely, you
Okay.
know, as long as the client is happy in the process.
Yep.
Okay, I don't care what the middle guy does, you know, and more power to him.
Yeah.
If he's able to make a profit in the process.
Yeah. So the idea, right, is that's what I'm saying, it's like your perception is important, but understanding the intention of the people you're getting under contract with is extremely important as well, right? At the end of the day, we're trying to help a buyer and a seller not regret anything. That's the transparent part, right, of what we'll do, so. Good, there's a test after class, so I hope you learned something today. All right, so I see some of you are eating food, which is amazing. We have a special guest and speaker today. Josh, come on up. Give Josh a big warm welcome. Yeah, that happens. I'll stick around here and help out while you do your dog and pony show.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so much.
Josh, introduce yourself, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for having me today. I really appreciate it. My name is Josh Strauss. I'm the president of Iron Valley Modular. We are a commercial and residential design build general contractor. That's really how we describe ourselves. That's what we are, but our expertise, our specialty is modular. A little bit about me. I'm a Pennsylvania native. I'm from central Pennsylvania, where still most of our modules today are built, where we send homes all the way up to Maine, all the way down to the Carolinas, in addition to partner facilities that we have throughout the United States. I've been living here for about 13 years. If my goal was to get out of California one day, I made the mistake of marrying someone from Southern California. And my lovely wife Bridget is a school teacher. We live up in North Orange County, but I'm not getting out of California. So I'm here now. And since I'm here, I figured, you know what, even though Iron Valley Modular is a Pennsylvania-based company, well, it makes sense. Let's try to take this nationwide. Let's try to grow the business as we can. And if I'm going to live in California, let's find a way to make money also in California, which is what we did. So fast forward a number of years, we now have an affiliate program where we have partner facilities that allow us to build in almost every state in the United States. Still, most of our homes are in Pennsylvania. Most of our modules, are made out of Pennsylvanian factories. But then we also have a facility in Georgia, Arkansas, Nebraska, Arizona, now too soon to be free in California.
So are you a Steeler or Eagles fan?
Is there a right answer to this?
There isn't, you got a 50-50 chance.
Well, you know what, you gotta, let me have one, because I did grow up an Eagles fan.
Okay.
And I lived through some really rough years in the '90s,
You did.
and I stuck it out, so
That's all right.
I'm owed this now. I get to be an Eagles fan.
We're glad to beat the Chiefs, let's just say.
I'm not a Chiefs fan. Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful to watch that. All these Chiefs fans crying. Oh, that was great. All right, so, my goal here is to, obviously, I want to introduce you to modular construction. I don't know to what level each of you know of modular, what your expertise is, or what your level of knowledge is, but this is gonna be pretty high level. I want this to be interactive. If you have questions for me, let me know. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I'm gonna leave enough time to take questions at the end as well. On to it. So why do we do modular? So again, the whole idea of Iron Valley Modular is built upon addressing some key major issues that are facing the construction industry today. First of all, costs. Costs of construction lead to increased costs of home ownership. As many of you know, I'm sure probably all of you know, I would hope, the cost of home ownership has gotten to a point where is it easier or more challenging for younger Americans to afford a home than it was 10 years ago? It's a lot more challenging. Case in point, I'll give you an example real quick from my own development. We built our house, we built it from a developer, a builder in 2014 up in Placentia. We paid at the time like 600, I think at the door was 604 grand, which for me, growing up in Pennsylvania, that was a stupid number to spend on a house because that was my perspective. 600,000 in Pennsylvania buys you something crazy. But that's what we spent. And again, very nice house was still there. It's perfect for us. Fast forward 10 years. Now these homes are selling for just over $1 million. Okay, great. If I ever want to sell that house, that's great, right? That's a lot of equity. But look at the numbers of that. What that actually represents is about a 6.5% year-over-year increase in the cost of that same home. Tell me, do most people's salaries increase by 6.5% year over year?
No.
No, of course not. If you're lucky, maybe it's 2 to 3, right? You get sort of pre-negotiated increases to save off inflation. But this is one of the few areas I do actually really sympathize with Gen Z in that home ownership is getting to a point where it's becoming more and more of a dream, an unattainable dream. And that's something that we really try to address. This is one of the major points by Iron Valley Modular. One of our key mission statements is to make housing more affordable for more people. And we do that by finding cost inefficiencies in the standard way of construction. Cost of materials, compressed profits, eroding home affordability, shrinking labor market. That's another issue. Nobody's going into the trades. It's course correcting, I think, a little bit, but specialty trade contractors, plumbers, electricians are now making really good money. Not that they don't deserve that. They're very talented. They're very good at what they do, but they're making now what some doctors make. And that's purely based on supply and demand. Again, those costs get passed on to the GC, who then turn on and pass on to the home buyer, the people buying the real estate, eroding home affordability. And then supply chain and logistics issues cause additional hassles for construction. We saw this during COVID. You know, people not being able to source materials to complete projects. I'm sorry, go ahead. And I'll make sure that you can get a copy of this too. Yeah, it's no problem. So how do we do that? Again, what we do is we borrow some of the same principles of manufacturing, the things that make manufacturers so effective and efficient in what they do, and we weave those principles into construction. That allows us to cut costs. What I tell people is on average, when we're talking about single family homes or larger, on average, what we find is we have about a 20 to 25%, maybe on the upper end of the spectrum, 20 to 25% cost advantage over the traditional home builders on average, on a net basis. Obviously, the labor shortage, you know, we address that because we're centralizing a lot of that operation into our factories. You know, we can build off-site where we already have the team, where we already have the workers. They're being paid a certain wage, and that allows us to keep our costs down so we can pass those savings on to the customer. And we are seen as a more green, more environmentally friendly way of building. There's a lot of waste, as you know, in a construction project. We have much less of that because we're building in a controlled environment. We're building in controlled environments where we have no rain delays, no snow days, nothing of that sort. And we can take a lot of our waste, we can recycle it, we can repurpose it, reuse it, makes us, on average, much more environmentally sustainable. Here, what I'll show you, real quick sort of illustration. Yes, I actually bring Legos to teach this. And these are made by kids, so be nice. When you think about the traditional way of building, right, it's very linear. You know, try to visualize how a home is built up. You start with your site prep, you dig, you pour your footers, you pour your foundation, and then once your foundation is inspected and concrete cures and everything, then you move on to framing. Once you do framing, then you do rough in plumbing, rough in electrical, and then you finally get to your end home. We do things a little bit differently. In our world, we have two different teams. While we have our local team on site doing the site prep, doing the foundation, this is great for concrete. We have the other team actually off-site building the actual house. So the idea is by the time the foundation is finished, your house is already finished. I put this on the back of a truck, I take it out to the site, take a crane, lift it into the air, and sit it down right on top. And that effectively allows us to go from, let's call it 15% complete. Let's say your foundation represents about 15% of your house. You can go from about 15% to 90+% in one day. It's on average, it takes us a single day to put a house together. I see that these guys forgot a structural beam for the garage door. I'm gonna have to talk to them about that. That's not how we build. But that's the idea. So we can significantly cut down on the time it takes to build a house. What does that do? Well, that leads us to our value proposition. Our value proposition, we basically have three different value props depending on who our audience is. First of all, your clients, the home buyers, the homeowners. Our value proposition is this: we build faster, we get you into the house sooner, we pass those savings on to you. Cost of construction is lower, therefore possible equity into the house post-construction is greater, make it easier for you to finance that deal, qualify for your loan. We build off site, so you don't have to live next to a construction zone for a year, you know. We inconvenience the neighborhood one day when we bring the crane in, but then that's pretty much it. We set the modules down and then we tie everything together, pretty much, we're done, we're done. And we're custom. That's one thing that actually makes us a little different from other builders, that we are custom builders. We work with architects all the time to build whatever it is that you want. Yeah.
Do you know if this has been done in unincorporated LA County?
Sorry?
Do you know if this has been done in unincorporated LA County?
Yeah. So we can build in every state, in every county in America, because we follow the same residential building codes and commercial building codes as any other builder. In our world, there's no such thing as a modular house. It's just a house, which actually reminds me of another really good point. So our homes appraise the same way. They appreciate the same way. Appraisers are not allowed to treat us any differently. There are no modular comps. It's just a new house versus a new house. So again, you sacrifice nothing in terms of financial gain and home ownership. And you gain a lot in terms of financial savings and increased efficiency.
If you're gonna talk about it later, let me know, but would you mind helping everyone understand just terminology, like where there are confusion between modular, manufactured, mobile, you know, that kind of.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Have you guys ever done this on a hillside property?
We have. We can. We put these on beaches. We've done this on the coast. We can make these hurricane rated, flood rated. Basically every state that we build in, we have binders, right? Like modular construction is governed at the state level. So as long as we adhere to whatever that state's guidelines are for building, we're good.
All right, and last question for now, do you guys only do this for homeowners for their home, or do you guys do it for developers that want to
We
resell?
do it for developers, so that's getting to my other value props, right? Yeah, so our other value propositions next for developers. So obviously we can be a developer's best friend because we're able to build a lot faster, which means our output is a lot higher. We can build much more real estate with less people, with fewer people. And consolidating the saving time saves developers on finance costs. They're not paying as much interest to the lenders. It also gets them operational sooner, so they're making more money off the real estate, increases the ROI. So real estate developers, honestly, that's a home run referral to us. I adore working with homeowners. I love building something for somebody and they say, oh, thank you so much. I don't know how we would be able to do this. We wouldn't have been able to afford if we didn't build this way. That tells me we're achieving our mission. But in terms of building like a larger and scaling our business and a long-term sustainable company, we need to also be making relationships with developers too. Was there a question in the back? Someone? No? Okay. And then, of course, our other value proposition is really for GCs. So what do I tell GCs? I say, do not think of us as a competitor. Yes, we are licensed and bonded general contractors. But really, the partnership opportunities between us and GCs are too great to ignore. So if you're a GC, and let's say you're doing $3 to $5 million a year, which is honestly where most contractors cap out because there's only so many hours in the day. You only have so many people. They can only do so much work at one time. They start capping out around 5 million. With a team like us at your side, we can help you scale your business significantly. we can consolidate a lot of that work into one scope of works where we're able to complete it faster, help you qualify for incentives, help you avoid delays from contract penalties. And basically, you can take the same number of workers and tackle larger projects. If you think about most GCs, scaling from 5 million to 10 million, let alone from 10 to 20, is a massive undertaking. That requires, honestly, transformative levels of organizational change. You have to hire a lot more people. Probably in there, you have to acquire a couple of businesses, you have to hire a lot of equipment, you have to find the right people to come work for you. Hopefully you can attract them, hire them, retain them. Getting from 5 to 10, from 10 to 20 is, most contractors never see that day. But working with us, that's actually much more of a possibility just because we have so much more production potential. And that really is what we do here, and that's how we're disrupting the construction industry. And about as short a summary as I can give.
Is there any difficulty with lenders, loan approvals?
There might have been difficulties with lenders maybe like 10 years ago. I remember it was a little challenging to find lenders, but still back then it really wasn't that bad. A lot of times what we do is, at most we have to have like a 30-minute Zoom conversation or presentation like what we're doing now, where we explain what modular is. We explain that these are still the same residential building code homes. They appraise the same way, etc. We work off of draws, which is what lenders like. So we're not being paid for anything that we haven't already done. We're being paid as we go. Lenders like that. So we're at a point now, we have a lot of partner lenders who really enjoy working with us and have no problem with modular. This is our senior advisory team. Rachel Gordon is our sales director. She's actually based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and then she kind of manages people nationwide. And then we have our advisory members, and they're modular professionals all across America. In total, we have more than 100 years worth of expertise in this field. So again, our market validation. Right now, we're about a $70 billion industry between US and Europe. Projected, we're going to be about 130 billion by the end of the decade. Actually, just with how undersupplied we are, I believe that that's probably going to hit sooner than that. I think we're going to get to that point before 2030. So here's to your question. Addressing some misconceptions about modular construction. When you see our modules go down the road in the back of a truck, you would be forgiven for thinking that these are trailers. They look like it, they're shaped like it. We all know, we all seen trailers built, we know what they look like on the backs of trucks, but that's not what we are at all. Not that there is anything wrong with manufactured homes, just to be clear. HUD has come a very long way, and honestly, we're at a point now where the difference between a HUD home and a residential building code home is, the differences are very small. And as probably most of you know, you can take a manufactured home, set it on top of a fixed foundation, and have it recoded as a permanent structure. Like that's we're at a point now where they're both built really well. But this is again, that wasn't always the case. Modular construction was at one point back in the 70s governed by HUD, when HUD was not what it is today. And there were some issues with quality. And honestly, I think a stigma was created with modular that lasted a couple of generations. Here we are, 2025, different generation of buyers. People weren't around in the 70s, they don't care. So now I think that's another reason we're seeing a bit of a resurgence. But on the left, yeah, you have sort of the stigma, the preconceived notions about manufactured housing as being ugly, cheap, poor quality. Again, we all know that's not really the case anymore. But on the right, what we actually have is a modular home. That is actually one of the homes that we built. And if you can see it, that's in Massachusetts. That was made with 17 modules. So just over 6,000 square foot. And it's a custom home. We put it together in just over 3 days. So again, these are not just ranch style homes. These are not just boxy looking multifamily houses. These are, again, we can do just about any architectural style or aesthetic finish that you want. This is actually another thing that we do. This is an ADU. So one thing that we can do is we can actually attach one of our ADUs, one of our modules to an existing house. And that's another type of project that we can do. So if somebody wants to do a horizontal addition, we can do that. So right on the left-hand side, you see our team went out, we poured the foundation, everything is level and square. Everything has to be level and square because in our world, we're building in a controlled environment. So our homes are level and square. So everything at the site better be level and square as well. We do all that, get that inspected, get ready for the modules to be set. And then we set the module right down on top of the foundation. There in the second picture from the left, you see our gable roof system actually comes on hinges, so we can actually flatten the roof while we ship it. This is to keep the height of our shipment under what's allowed by the state. And then we just pitch the roof. Once it gets delivered, seal it up, and you're good to go. And then we've even built like a custom deck off the front, but inside those modules, they come pre-plumbed, pre-wired, flooring is installed, kitchen countertops are installed, cabinets, bathroom fixtures, everything is installed in the factory. So again, you can go from having virtually very little of a project complete to almost being done in just a matter of a couple days. This particular project, this was about $225,000. We completed the second phase in just 24 days. That includes delivery, setup, and all the finished carpentry, as well as the custom deck that we built on site. So they went from having nothing to being done in just a few weeks. This is another thing we do modular apartments. That's a great application for what we do. This particular customer was a real estate investor who was making homes for college kids, basically, renting them out to college kids. When I found out, I was a bit floored because those are the Shangri-La of college rentals. Because he still wanted like nice everything, like high level everything finished. I'm like, you're leasing these to college kids? All right. But yeah, same thing. These have integrated garages. So we came out, we poured the garage out of concrete. So it's like basically podium style construction. If you're familiar with that, with what that is, podium style. We poured the concrete on site, got all that ready. Then floors 2 and 3 are modular units. Set those on top, built another deck out front to create like a terrace. And then inside, all that was done coming out of the factory. So the flooring was in. There are some areas of flooring we had to install, so some materials are shipped loose. But flooring was installed, cabinets were installed, countertops were in, and then we just built a custom deck coming right off the front. And it's a beautiful property. Everyone's really happy. Here are some of the other finished options that we've done. This is a home that is actually out in Virginia. This is by the beach. If you can see, these are real homes. So again, even with like the ceiling patterns, cabinet options in Pennsylvania, at least, we have our own cabinet shop where we make our own cabinets and send them all over the place. So we're incredibly custom. Here are pictures of some of our plants. You can see actually how the modules are coming together. They're just framing out. They're actually installing the staircase that goes up to the second level right there. If you can see closely, we actually have it almost on like a railroad track system. So we have these long sort of flatbed trailer looking things, but they're on basically railroad tracks. And we can just push it down the assembly line. So again, we're borrowing principles from manufacturing companies, assembly line production being one of them. And that allows us to, on average, we build a house in 8 days. So once your project hits the production line, there's a backlog, but once your project hits the production line, you finish a house on average in 8 days. See if this will this work. This is a video. Well, anyway. Imagine. So basically, this is one of those projects. We have a huge 350-ton crane. We're lifting a module that's about 25,000 pounds up into the air. She's standing underneath it for some reason. She gets out of the way. And then we swing it over the power lines, set it down on top of the foundation. And yeah, most of the time on site's actually setting up the crane. Once we get the crane set up, we set a module about every 45 to 60 minutes. So we're in and out in a day. This is a depiction of where our facilities are. So again, our 2 primary locations are in central Pennsylvania, where I'm from. Through our affiliates now, we can build in Georgia, or actually we can build out of Georgia, Arkansas, Nebraska, Chandler, Arizona, and now 2 in California. The next slide basically just shows where we tend to be the most competitive price-wise. one variable cost that we have that others don't have is transportation. Right, so in our experience, if a project site is within like a 4 to 6 hour drive of whichever factory we're using to build the project, we're gonna be really competitive price wise. And as you can see, that basically covers most major markets in the United States. So that's why we believe we have such a huge opportunity and upward potential with this company, with this business. But truth be told, we can still, if the numbers make sense, we can still ship just about anywhere. We've shipped from Pennsylvania to Montana. Somebody wanted to build a house in Montana. The numbers worked out, I don't know what his other options were, what he was being quoted, but he ultimately opted to have the house built in Pennsylvania and trucked all the way out to Montana. So in the case of California, depending on each factory's capabilities and what their backlog is, even if somebody wanted to build in Southern California, and if it made sense for us to ship from Nebraska, we could. If the numbers made sense, and if they're gonna be spending big money to build a house anyway, it may not make that much of a difference to them, especially if you're building $1 million property, what's another 40, 50 grand in transportation costs? The difficulty is if you're trying to build a more affordable option for everyday Americans, like in the 400,000 to 500,000 range, then it becomes a little challenging. It's tough for me to incur 50 grand in transportation costs and then turn around and sell the house for 500. So that's the level, right? Again, someone asked about developers. Yeah, developers are incredible relationships. Realtors, all of you, love to help you in any way I can. Architects, always looking for them. Lenders, senior care specialists would be great. But as far as a lot of your customers, again, if you have a listing, and let's say that, Brandon mentioned there were a lot of listings that have, all over there, like 2-bedroom, 1 bath, right? So a really good application for what we do is we could take your 2-bedroom, 1 bath property. We could build an additional ADU, additional unit in the backyard, turn that into a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom property perhaps. That would allow you to sell the property for a higher amount, or if you have a buyer who just can't possibly find a 3 or 4 bedroom property, they can't find one they can afford, you could perhaps sell them one buying a 2-bedroom. We could build an additional ADU in the backyard. That way they have the property that they need. So that would be a tremendous application for modular, and that's something that we can do very quickly. We'd be competitive. We'd be right in there with anybody else.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Approximately what percentage of savings would the end user end up finding savings with you of going modular? Yeah. So I mean, on average, is it a 20% savings, a 40% savings?
I tell people on average it's 20 to 25%. And those are the numbers to the home buyer, because a lot of our customers, we work directly with home buyers.
Sure.
We're not just subcontractors.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
I think there's two frames of mind for that, Steve. I think the end user homeowner, there could be a savings of say 20%. But to a developer, to someone who is into construction with them, outside of the cost of construction, what's their biggest expense? Called holding costs.
Holy absolutely.
So if it takes me with my other contractors 60 days to do this, but they can do it in a factory that's not affecting my holding cost time because it's ahead of schedule or it's being done off-site. And in 4 days, they show up and put it together, how much more money? So I think it's hard to always factor in an additional savings of holding costs, which I wanted to make that point as well. Right, so I think that's a huge opportunity with the developers as well.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good point. And again, I throw around 20% as sort of a guideline and average. But in reality, if you factor in all the other things, as well as decreased finance charges paid to the bank, fewer holding costs, and you look at that on like an aggregate basis, it could even be greater than that.
And I want to also add one more thing, if you don't mind. I appreciate that. Coming from Arizona in the construction world, that's what I started doing in business. Now I want you guys to visualize this. You're getting ready to build a new house. So the first thing that Josh described is what is going to happen. A foundation. So you've got Nothing else around you but a foundation. And the next thing that's gonna happen is called framing. Now, what ends up happening is a load of lumber shows up.
Mhm.
And then they cut the cords on those lumbers, and what do they start trying to do now? Frame walls. And where are they framing these walls? On the vacant lot next door. Is it flat? Probably not. Sometimes they'll frame them on the slab, I get that. Where I'm going with this is in a controlled environment like he's describing. Everything has a higher probability of being plumb and square. So I'll go one step further. So you got a great framing crew who framed it on the lot next door and they've got it up. What else do studs have a tendency to do in time after you uncord them? What'd you say, Steve?
Work.
So a lot of the timber that gets delivered is also a little moist, and as it starts to dry out, it starts to twist. Now, let's just pretend your house is framed. You don't really necessarily know if it's plumb or not, so what comes next after they frame? Plumbing and electrical rust. And what are they gonna complain about? The studs in the framing not being aligned or plumbed. So it's an ongoing challenge. When you just think about construction in general, the challenges that happen, right? Now, we're doing a remodel on a home in Torrance. And again, you try and save money, the framer comes in and you're eyeballing it because you're like, that wall's a little crooked. And you spend a half hour arguing with the framer, and guess what? The wall's crooked, what do they gotta do? They gotta get the wall straight. Does it cost money and time? Absolutely all the else. So one of the benefits, right, of this system is so many things. Right?
It's an increased level of QA/QC, quality control, quality assurance. Not unlike, and again, I don't want to make too many comparisons to manufacturing, but not unlike manufacturing and the way automobiles get inspected. We go through our own multi-point inspection. Everything gets inspected at every station along the way in the production line. And then again, at the very end, it also gets inspected by us and a third party. Another thing that I didn't perhaps get a chance to mention, but in the same vein as like framing, electrical, plumbing, all that stuff has to be inspected also at the local level as you go along. Not with us though. We follow different rules. So because we're inspecting certain things at the factory level, we bypass some of these local inspections so we can jump right to the finals.
You guys also offer existing plans, or is everything custom?
We do have existing plans, investors like them because honestly, if they don't have like an emotional connection.
Right.
So yeah, those tend to be a little bit more affordable. But yeah, if anybody has like a dream home they want to build, we work with architects and designers all the time. We have both in-network folks as well, but a lot of times clients will come to us with their own architect, and we'll work with them, no problem. Yeah.
So the last point, which I think is great about the inspection side of things, one of the biggest challenges we have, and if you guys know anyone who has dealt with Palisades fires or Altadena as an example, is the regulatory. And so there's this other little element a lot of people don't always think about, which is exactly what Josh is describing, is the ability to build something not just in a controlled environment, not just efficiently, all of those things, but done in such a way that you don't have all of those additional delays that you would have at the municipality level, because you're dealing with two departments who actually don't talk to each other. So if you guys have ever built anything, the planning department that gives you the permit to build has nothing to do with the inspection department, and they have their own opinion. And you get two different conflicting things going on during the construction process, and it's frustrating.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, but we burden that for you. We shoulder that burden for you. I haven't gone gray yet, but it's coming. I can sense it. I do a lot of that. We do a lot of that for the client. Getting our projects permitted it's the same headache it can be for any builder. Like, we do go through the same process to get our permits because again, we build in the same residential building code. But once we get our permits, it's all the other subsequent inspections are streamlined, which kind of, again, gets you to the finish line faster.
do you have time to hang out and answer some questions? We just gotta get through a couple more slides, so if you guys have. But thank Josh for lunch and his commentary.
Can you guys add on to existing structures?
Yeah, that was one of the slides I had. We can actually abut a module right next to an existing house if they want to build out, make the house bigger. That's absolutely something we can do. I didn't get it, I was talking about modular the whole time, but we have our own team here in Southern California, so we also do garage conversions. That's obviously not modular, you know, in that case, we just act as a GC. But we have our own, it's the same people who do the finishing work for us and the sets. So again, very talented folks, same level of care, same level of quality, but you know, that's another thing that we would do.
And is it real property or personal property? Would you guys build something that's like new on a vacant lot?
It's real property. It's personal property until it sets on the foundation. From an insurance standpoint, it's, once it's set on the foundation, now it becomes real property.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
If you're trucking this in, what are the dimensions, the maximum?
In most states, it's 15 feet 9 inches wide by up to, I guess technically 53 feet in length, but usually we're about 40 to 45 feet long by 15.9 wide.
So how many, just if you build a little house, what is that, a couple of bedrooms? I mean, what,
Most houses are made out of 3 to 4 modules.
okay,
Yeah.
Most houses are like the 50 to 60 feet wide range and 80 to 90 deep and then.
just practically speaking, how many, is that a bedroom?
Oh,
Is that?
this would roughly be about 450 square feet.
So, and your average ADUs are 600 to 800 square feet or 800 to 1200 square feet?
Our 2 bedrooms will be up around 700 plus.
Okay.
Our studio units will be around like 400 to 500 range.
Right.
You know, these are typically about 30 feet long by, call it about 15 feet deep.
Yeah.
So enough for a nice bedroom area, a little kitchenette, bathroom.
So you know, builders, GCs or developers, especially those that are trying to do things even at scale. I think it would be great for you to introduce them to Josh and his team. You know, I think that you guys realize that the state we're in, we have a housing, right, challenge and we need housing, we need quality housing. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, great. All right, good stuff.
Yeah.
What'd you learn?
5 floors ago.
Lego. Lego. We love Legos. All right, anyone have any new listings, buyer needs, wants, pitches? This is the time to do it. Ready to go to work. Pam,
Fire needs.
buyer needs.
In the Rolling Hills area, if possible, just at 1 million, maybe 2, 3 bedrooms.
Okay, 2 to 3 bedrooms, up to 1 million in the Rolling Hills area.
Yes,
Okay, Eric,
Brand new construction, North Redondo Beach. 5 bed, 3 bath, with a pool and a spa, 3.19.
what street?
Havemeyer,
Okay.
off of Grange and 190th.
Nice.
Gorgeous, brokers open on Thursday from 12 to 2, open house all weekend.
Okay,
I also have Lake Elsinore coming up next week. 4 bed with an office, 3 bath. Brand, 2014 build, 650,
wow,
Lake Elsinore.
Lake Elsinore. Beauty, eh?
212.
yes.
Good. All right, awesome, very cool. Chris, where you at, brother? Come on up. Everybody give Chris a round. You know, I get a round of applause before I talk, I like that. Hopefully you guys give me one on the way out. All right, so in 2 weeks, I'm gonna come back here and give you guys a presentation on seconds. There's a lot of information on seconds. The reason why I'm telling you that, because this is what I'm gonna tell you after that, but seconds. T-loans, HELOCs, the rates are great, but we have the ability to do them with bank statements, P&Ls. We can do it on investments, DSCRs on seconds. There's so many opportunities for your clients to tap money out without touching the first. So anyway, that's in 2 weeks. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because rates are coming down. The feds will announce here very soon that they're going to cut at the September meeting. We do anticipate at least a quarter cut. There's talks right now of a 50-point cut. That's probably about a 5% probability at this point. There's a lot of pressure on the administration right now to the feds to do that, so we might see a half, definitely gonna see a quarter. Rates right now are about 6.25 on a conforming purchase, 30-year fix, at no points. Jumbo and high balance money is right about 6.3. Refis, crazy, if you got a good LTV, you can get below 6% in today's markets. So rates are behaving for you guys, we're gonna see it at 6% probably within 30 days. It's not gonna take that much longer, especially since the Feds will be decreasing rates here in the next month. So when I come back out here in 2 weeks to tell you guys about the seconds, make sure you take those, because this is great ammunition to be able to take out to your clients and just give them a value add call, just a check-in call, right? Just tell them about how much appreciation you guys got them when they purchased their home. And the ability to suck money out without touching their great interest rate on their first, to be able to purchase something else, or possibly even do an EDU. Right, now that you know that the costs are down, that's a great opportunity. I dug that presentation about the EDUs and having it just coming in. Anyway, I don't want to go off script. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know, this is the first time I was able to come up here and tell you guys rates are low. We will see them hit 6%, but I wouldn't get carried away. I don't think they're gonna go too much below that. I think the administration's gonna put a lot of pressure to keep them capped there. Because if they go too much lower, it's just gonna generate too much buyer demand. And values will go up, right? But now we talk about, well, housing affordability and all that stuff. So just know, taking it out to the market, now is the time to buy. It should have been 6 months ago, because they're gonna be refinancing now to the lower rate. I know you guys try to tell them that. But rates are behaving for you guys, so get out there and go hunt. Talk to you guys later. Leave it at that. Upcoming events, we got Producers Club with Nina. I think that's this Friday, starts at 8 AM, so please make sure you sign up and join for that. On Friday, Simon will be back from Mega Camp. He's gonna be talking about advanced counteroffers and negotiation strategies. So make sure you're around Friday at 10:30 AM for that. John Morris, who was the previous team leader of the PD office, will be doing AI KPA for career visioning. That will be on August 27th or the 28th. It's an all-day workshop. How many of you know what a KPA is? How many of you know what a DUI is? Okay, that's good. We're getting some of the acronyms down. That is a Keller personality assessment. And I highly encourage you, if you've never done one, to do one. It gives you a good example or a good idea of what you are at your core, whether you like it or not. It's never really anything negative. But what it does is it helps you define maybe some where you're strong and where you need to focus on where you're weak, or where you need to have help where you're a little bit more weak. So I would encourage to take that as well. And that's it. I'm gonna let Josh hang out if you guys have questions about modular. Otherwise, go to work, put some deals together, let's make some money, all right?
Thank you.
All right.